to Egypt now, where officials have revealed the discovery of a long corridor inside the last of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing.
Putting a camera through one of the openings underneath the entrance, this scan revealed the existence of a corridor 9 meters long and 2.10 meters wide.
Ancient Egypt has always been a center of attention and a site of mystery for archaeologists and historians. Over the years, several artifacts, inscriptions, statues, writings, drawings, buildings, and objects have been unearthed, giving us an insight into the tradition and activities of the residents of the country in its early days and its significant effects on its modern states. Recently, some hidden truths were discovered in ancient Egypt, which are up to 50 in number. What are they? What is their importance? How does it reflect on society and the world? Join us as we unveil 50 facts about ancient Egypt you didn't know before. Secrets of pyramids. The Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu, was made of 2.3 million limestones, and each stone weighs as many as 2 small cars. Then, one can ask how they build such edifices without modern machinery. The ancient Egyptians used clever engineering techniques like ramps and levers to move these massive stones. They also employ simple tools like copper chisels and wooden sleds. These fortresses are where defense met administration, and the soldiers left a lasting mark on the sands of time with this building. The pharaoh who defied dressing style. In ancient Egypt, one pharaoh stood out as a true enigma: Queen Hatshepsut. Being in a male-dominated society, she ruled as a pharaoh, which was quite a huge feat. What makes her reign extraordinary is not her gender, but her dressing attire. She bravely adopted the traditional pharaoh's kilt false beard and the royal headdress typically reserved for kings. This bold move aimed to solidify her authority, ensure a smooth power transition, and preserve her legacy. Hatshepsut is known for impressive architectural achievements like the famous mortuary temple at Da'albari. She is also known as a female ruler with a male beard. Egypt's edible currency. In ancient Egypt's heart, bread was a staple food and a form of currency. Egyptians were seen going to market with loaves of bread to trade for food items. This edible currency, also known as akhet, played a crucial role in daily life. It was used to pay wages and even as an offering to the gods. Its value differs based on its type and quality, just like modern currency. Workers received loaves of bread as compensation. You could buy anything from vegetables to jewelry with bread. This unique system ensures everyone has access to basic food items. Imhotep. Imhotep was the first recorded scientist to live around 2700 BC. He was a physician, an architect, a high priest, and a sage. But what made him remarkable was being the first world-recorded scientist. Imhotep's significance lies in his holistic approach to medicine. He believed the disease had natural causes and could be treated rationally, which was a groundbreaking concept. His medical texts written on ancient papyrus give insights into surgery, anatomy, and various illnesses. Imhotep's wisdom extended into architecture, where he designed the step pyramid, one of Egypt's earliest monumental structures. Centuries after his passing, he was turned into a deity, with temples dedicated to him. Today, his legacy is seen as a symbol of intelligence and innovation. Masters of ancient dentistry. Another surprising facet of ancient Egypt's healthcare care is their dentistry. If you were missing a tooth in those days, you would be excited to know they were the early creators of dental bridges. These bridges were made from human teeth, animal teeth, and seashells attached with golden wires. Much more than beauty is their profound knowledge of dental health. They also developed toothpaste from ox hoof, ashes, burnt eggshells, and myrrh, an aromatic resin. It's believed their innovative techniques laid the foundation for our current oral health practices. Journey to the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, belief in the afterlife was at the center of their culture. They thought life would continue after death, so they invested immense effort in preparing for this eternal journey. This preparation entails elaborate tombs and grand burial ceremonies. The pyramids are not monuments alone, but were designed as tombs to protect and house Pharaoh in the afterlife. They filled these tombs with food and servants in the form of statues known as champas to serve them in the next world. This planning reveals their desire to ensure a comfortable and prosperous afterlife. Ancient Egypt, sweet secret. When building a tomb to house a deceased, honey is usually included among offerings in the tomb. It serves as a symbol of eternal sweetness and a natural antibiotic. The Egyptians believed in preserving the body for the afterlife, hence the use of honey because of its amazing properties. Honey's natural antibacterial and antifungal components prevent decay and protect the body during mummification. Its incredible particles made it a valuable commodity. Honey jars have been found in tombs thousands of years old, still perfectly edible. Childbirth. Childbirth is a sacred ritual in Old Egypt. It was seen as a biological event alone, but a ritual deeply intertwined with religious beliefs. During labor, it's common for the woman to wear a frog-shaped amulet known as the heart amulet. This amulet is believed to provide protection and assistance during childbirth, as the frog is linked with fertility and rebirth. It was also thought that the amulet's connection to Heat, the goddess of fertility, would ensure a smooth delivery. Childbirth takes place in a designated birthing house. It's usually a separate building from the main home. This birthing place is equipped with special bricks with writings and images of protective deities to ward off evil spirits and endure a safe birth. After birth, that naming ceremony is also important, as carefully selected names would determine the character and protection of the child throughout his life. Warding off evil eyes. The belief in the evil eye was common in ancient Egypt. They thought that envy and negative intentions could harm individuals, especially childbirth and newborns. To keep themselves from this huge evil gaze, they use a variety of amulets and charms. One of the most well-known protective amulets was the Eye of Horus, also known as Wadjet Eye. This symbol resembles a falcon's eye, which represents the god of Horus and offers protection, healing, and restoration. It was believed that wearing or carrying this amulet would guard against evil eyes and other forces. Cubits. Ancient Egypt's measurement system in construction used a unique method called cubits. A cubit was approximately the length of a forearm, from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. It differs slightly over different historical periods. This measuring method played a crucial role in constructing the iconic pyramids. The architects and builders used cubits to ensure the precision and alignment of the huge pyramid structures. They knew they had to measure to perfection using their unique way when it came to building. Mysterious Rosetta Stone. In 1799, a 2,200-year-old stone with inscriptions from 3 different scripts was stumbled upon. This stone was called the Rosetta Stone. The miracle happened when scholars could translate the Greek text and use it as a key to understanding hieroglyphics. This centuries-old puzzle unlocked the secrets of Egyptian writings, allowing us to read about Pharaoh's temple and daily life in the city. Protectors of the Pharaoh. Ancient Egypt had one of the world's earliest organized police forces. These officers were often strong and brave soldiers chosen by the local rulers or officials. Their duties involve catching criminals, controlling crowds, directing traffic, and protecting temples. What's more amazing is that some officers use dogs and monkeys to help in their duties. Can you picture monkeys assisting in a chase or dogs sniffing out a criminal? These activities show how intelligent Egyptians are in maintaining law and order. Fortresses of engines. In Old Egypt, many fortresses protected the land from invaders. Military outposts like Buan and Marasa stood guard along the Nile. They were strategically placed to secure trade routes and defend against Nubian invasions. These fortresses also serve as administrative and trade centers. Some stations still have graffiti and inscriptions from soldiers who served there thousands of years ago. Nile's hidden treasures. One amazing fact about the Nile is that it flows from south to north, which defies the usual river direction. Its annual flooding enriches the soil, allowing Egyptians to plant crops like wheat and barley. The Nile is also linked to the building of the magnificent Egyptian pyramids, as builders rely on the water to build and as a means of survival. The power of obelisks. The tall obelisks of ancient Egypt are more than historical buildings. They are seen as symbols of power and perfection. These colossal structures, made from single pieces of granite, were carved with remarkable perfection. The tallest obelisks, the unfinished obelisks, would have reached 136 feet if completed. These structures honored the pharaohs and the gods, giving us a glimpse of Egypt's beauty. Hieroglyphs. The olden days of the Egyptian alphabet weren't for communication alone, because it was deeply mixed with religion. Priests used hieroglyphs to record holy texts on temple walls and tombs, preserving religious knowledge for eternity. These symbols, which could be written in any direction, held divine significance. Hieroglyphs were believed to be a bridge between the earthly and spiritual realms, which also helped communicate with the gods. Through it, one can unravel the secrets behind the Egyptians' religious beliefs and rituals. Ancient hair, loss remedy. One can find the remedy for hair loss in the Ebers Papyrus and ancient Egyptian medical texts. The remedy recommends applying a mix of fats from lions, hippopotamuses, snakes, and crocodiles to the scalp. While it might sound impossible today, it shows the depth Egyptians went into preserving beauty and appearance. Thankfully, the modern solution for hair loss is accessible and less adventurous. Cleopatra's true origins. Contrary to general belief, Cleopatra wasn't Egyptian. She was of Greek descent, born in Alexandria. Her family, the Ptolemies, were descendants of one of Alexander the Great's generals. Despite her Greek heritage, Cleopatra embraced Egyptian culture and even learned the Egyptian language, causing her subjects to respect her. She was well-educated, fluent in multiple languages, and known for her intelligence and beauty. The pyramid-polished secret. The Great Pyramid of Giza, an architectural marvel, was once clad in smooth white Hurra limestone casing, giving it a dazzling appearance. The outer layer, originally covering the pyramid's rough core, reflects the sun's rays, making the pyramid shine so brilliantly that it can blind the eyes. The casting was removed for other construction projects, but a few casings were still left, so one can wonder how much it would look in its original state. Beer, more than a beverage. Beer in Old Egypt is considered a refreshing drink and a dietary staple. Workers building the pyramids receive a daily ration of beer, which provides essential nutrients and hydration. The beer was brewed using ingredients like barley and emmer wheat. It usually had a thicker consistency, like a porridge, than today's beer. This ancient brew was a symbol of sustenance. It also plays a vital role in daily life. The birthplace of diplomacy. The world's first recorded peace treaty was signed in ancient Egypt in 1259 BCE. Pharaoh Ramses II and the Hittite king Hattusili III put their differences aside and signed the Treaty of Kadesh. This treaty ended the long-standing conflict between the two countries. The Treaty of Kadesh was historic in terms of its diplomacy and unique in its detailed documentation, which included the terms of peace and mutual defense. The original agreement was signed on a silver tablet, with importance and permanence. This historic agreement marks the beginning of diplomacy between nations, and it's an early example of modern-day international relations. Egypt's example influenced neighboring civilizations, laying the groundwork for future international treaties. It also affirms that even in ancient Egypt, diplomacy is the key to resolving conflicts peacefully. Women's rights in ancient Egypt. Unlike many ancient societies, Egyptian women enjoy legal rights to own property, work, inherit, and even initiate divorce plans. They could participate in religious ceremonies and were often priestesses, which play a vital role in our spiritual life. Some women held positions of power and influence, such as the powerful female pharaoh Hatshepsut, in a world where patriarchy often ruled. The women lay their legacy of power and independence. Fashion in ancient Egypt. The world's oldest dress, dating back to 3482 BCE, was found in Egypt. This dress, made from linen, belonged to an Egyptian woman. This provides fascinating clues into the olden days fashion. The product of ancient Egyptian fashion, like the Taran dress, reflects their depth of knowledge on aesthetics and comfort. Fashion in Egypt also has a social dimension, with clothing styles often indicating social status and wealth. From pleated linen dresses to expensive jewelry, they have basics for modern-day fashion styles. A deity for every occasion. Ancient Egyptians had an astonishing pantheon of more than 20,000 deities. Many of these are associated with specific towns or regions in the country, which speaks about the local origins of these gods. The practice of combining gods' attributes leads to complex deities like Amun-Ra. Powerful gods like Ra, the sun god, and lesser-known gods depict their rich beliefs and diverse festivals and celebrations, which form an integral part of their culture. Ancient Egypt, guardian spirits. The belief in a guardian spirit, commonly called the Ba, was widespread in ancient Egypt. They are believed to protect him throughout his life, and even in the afterlife. Ba was often depicted as a bird with a human head, representing the soul's journey through various stages of existence. It's thought to leave the world to roam around the world and come back tonight, which is like a connection between life and death. They were like protective guardians, a monumental marvel. The Great Sphinx of Giza is a monumental marvel carved from a single piece of limestone. It's a huge feat of ancient Egyptian artistry and engineering. It forms parts of the Giza pyramid complex, one of the world's most significant archaeological sites. This strong creature, with a lion's body and a pharaoh's head, is a sign of strength and wisdom. However, its true meaning remains hidden. Opening of the mouth ceremony. This ceremony is important for the deceased because it's believed to restore the senses and abilities of the departed for the journey of the afterlife. The ceremony used special tools and rituals to open the mouths of the deceased or their statues symbolically. Then, the priest conducting the ritual will chant and pray to invoke the presence of various gods. The ritual was reserved for royalties, but it was made available for the common man over time. The precision of pyramids. The accuracy of the pyramids with cardinal points of the south, east, west, and south is quite astonishing. The ancient Egyptians used astronomy and geometry to achieve this alignment. This reveals the richness of their scientific knowledge. The layout of the pyramids was also thought to reflect the celestial realm, with the three main pyramids of Giza in line with the belt of Orion. The construction's accuracy ensures the pyramid's durability, allowing it to stand tall for thousands of years, preserving for eternity. Ancient Egyptians practiced mummification on humans and sacred animals such as cats, crocodiles, and bulls. The animal process is quite similar to that of humans. It involves removing internal organs and dehydrating the body. This practice reflects their belief in the connection of humans, animals, and the divine realm. Ancient glamour. The ancient Egyptians knew secrets about timeless beauty, so they used makeup from materials like malachite and galena. Wealthy Egyptians owned little combs and handheld mirrors made of copper alloy, or more rarely, silver. There are siltstone palettes, shaped like animals used to grind minerals like green malachite and coal for eye cosmetics. Ancient Egyptians of both sexes went to tremendous pains to improve their beauty. Matters of the heart. They believed the heart is the seat of emotions, not the brain. So if one carries a heavy heart with wrongdoing till death, he will be denied the afterlife. That's why it's left in the body during mummification. Timekeepers. The ancient Egyptians were known to be the developers of the calendar. They created it, along with the flooding of the Nile. Almost every known society has some sort of timekeeping system. Like most agricultural societies, it is thought that the ancient Egyptians originally ordered their calendar around lunar cycles and agricultural seasons. Most experts agree that the Egyptian day began at dawn rather than sunrise. Tutankhamun, mysterious tomb. Tutankhamun was one of the few rulers worshipped as deities during his lifetime. Other pharaohs were revered after their deaths. Tutankhamun is best remembered in popular culture today for the tremendously extravagant wealth discovered after the 1922 discovery of his tomb, the only tomb to date found in near-perfect condition. The finding of his tomb is usually regarded as one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of all time. Since then, he has been referred to as King Tut. Scarabs, transformation symbols. The Egyptian scarab beetle served various roles in ancient Egyptian society, making it difficult to identify clearly. Scarabs were emblems of prosperity and good fortune due to their link with the sun and the solar deity Ra. They used to wear them as amulets to attract good fortune and repel ill luck. In Egypt, wearing a scarab beetle amulet was believed to protect the user from illness and assure resurrection in the next life. Most scarab beetles in Egyptian artifacts are positive, symbolizing hope and friendliness. The loss of Sphinx's nose. Difference theory surrounds the loss of the Sphinx, ranging from a cannonball fired by Napoleon's soldiers hitting the nose and causing it to break to erosion times in Egypt. This tower had gone through several rebuilding and restorations over time, but it still stood firm, no or no nose. Another tale took place in the 15th century, when Egyptian Arab historian al-Makrizi said that Muhammad Sa'im al-Dahr, a Sufi Muslim, smashed his nose because people displayed affection for the god. The real cause of the loss is still hidden. Hieratic Script. Hieratic is the ancient Egyptian shorthand version. Its form can be used to read hieroglyphics. For everyday purposes, scribes used this shorthand form of the hieroglyphic script, which was easier to write and took up less space. For at least 2,500 years, the two writing systems coexisted. Scraps of ancient hieratic writing, usually written by student scribes on limestone flakes known as ostraca, show that an educated Egyptian could achieve practically anything, no matter how humble his roots. Pharaoh's Book of the Dead. This book reveals the belief in Ma'at, or cosmic order used in the afterlife journey. The Book of the Dead is an ancient Egyptian collection of mortuary texts composed of spells or magical formulas placed in tombs and believed to protect and benefit the dying in the afterlife. Many book copies have been discovered in Egyptian tombs, but none contain all the roughly 200 known chapters. Papyrus. Papyrus was used to create documents and retain records in ancient Egypt, whereas the rest of the world used stone or clay tablets. The Egyptians recognized the value of papyrus and kept the formula secret so that it could be used in foreign trade. Papyrus was manufactured by cutting strips from the fibrous pith inside the papyrus reeds found on the Nile's banks. The strips were soaked in water to soften before being mashed with a hammer. The pulp was then dried, and the strips bonded to form pages. The Egyptians graded papyrus according to how smooth and light it was. Senet. Senet is a board game from ancient Egypt that consists of 10 or more pawns on a 30-square board. It's played to recount the journey of the deceased through the afterlife. It contains both elements of luck and strategy. Despite the game's 2,000-year history in Egypt, crucial components appear fairly similar. This can be determined by examining the different senet boards discovered by archaeologists and depictions of senet being played throughout Egyptian history on tomb walls and papyrus scrolls. Worshipping the Nile. The ancient Egyptians believed that the Nile was a gift from the gods. They linked it with life and planned their daily lives around the high and low levels of its water. The Egyptian calendar was based on the Nile's 3 seasons: flood, cultivation, and harvest. Every aspect of Egyptian society depended on the river. The Nile provided food and supplies, agricultural land, and a mode of transportation, and was vital in the delivery of materials for construction projects and other large-scale activities. So they worship Hapi, the god of water. Colassi of Memnon. Amenhotep III's mortuary complex was the largest tower ever built in Egypt. It had several rooms, halls, and plateaus that replicated the idea of the Field of Reeds, an Egyptian paradise. The Colossi of Memnon symbolizes the king's authority over Egypt. The 3 figures in the statues, Amenhotep III, his wife Taya, and his mother Mutimwia, all represent rebirth and are stationed outside the mortuary complex. They have survived all of the natural disasters they have encountered. Nile crocodiles. Sobek was an ancient Egyptian divinity with a changing history and character. He is associated with the Nile crocodile and is shown as a human with a crocodile head. Sobek was connected with pharaonic might, fertility, and military prowess, but he was also a protective deity with apotropaic attributes, specifically invoked to protect against the dangers of the Nile. Irrigation innovation. The Egyptians used basin irrigation, a profitable adaptation to the river's natural rise and fall. They built a network of earthen banks, some parallel to the river and others perpendicular to it, forming basins of varied sizes. Using the ancient Egyptian calendar, the Egyptians built canals and irrigation ditches to harness the Nile River's annual flood and send water to distant regions. The flood would engulf the whole floodplain at its peak, perhaps raising the Nile River 45 feet above average levels. Ankh, the symbol of life. The Ankh symbol, often known as the key of life or the key of the Nile, represents perpetual life in ancient Egypt. The Ankh is frequently depicted in the hands of great Egyptian figures such as pharaohs and rulers, symbolizing their immortality. Furthermore, the Ankh is frequently represented in temples and the hands of key Egyptian gods such as Osiris, Isis, and Ra. Ankhs were traditionally placed in coffins to ensure their survival after death. Exquisite Egyptian jewelry. Wealthy Egyptians wore lavish jewelry of gold, semi-precious stones, and colored glass, which was extremely rare and expensive. Ancient Egyptians were jewelry masters. They made jewelry with intricate designs from gold, precious stones, and colorful glass beads. These pieces were often inscribed with spells in the Book of the Dead and can be used in the afterlife. Pharaoh's eternal rest. The Valley of Kings is a vast landmass where pharaohs were buried, including tombs of powerful kings like Ramesses II and King Tut. It's where history comes to life and gives a glimpse of afterlife preparations. Brewing of beer. Their method of brewing beer is unique. They use straws to filter out the solids from the beer to create a clearer drink. It's also used as a mode of payment for workers, especially those who built the pyramids. The process also involves partial breaking of bread for fermentation. The Lady Pharaoh. Cleopatra VII is one of the most famous figures. She is the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her reign was known for remarkable charisma and significant cultural and economic achievements, despite the political chaos of her time. 3,000 years of civilization. The ancient Egyptian civilization endured over 3,000 years, making it the longest in history. These times witnessed the rise and fall of dynasties, which added to the riches of their architecture and scientific advancement. Alexandria Vast Library. The Library of Alexandria was one of the most renowned scholarly institutions in ancient times. The library was envisioned as a depository for every book in the world, comparable to Athens's intellectual institutions. It comprised 2 principal buildings, the Temple of the Muses and the Royal Library. In addition to the library, the Temple of the Muses operated as a study center, including lecture rooms, labs, botanical gardens, and dining halls. The Royal Library, which is thought to be an extension of the temple, housed the main manuscript collection. Have you ever thought about how old the human world is and the traditions and cultures that have developed over time? Discoveries are proof of our past and an ongoing search for knowledge. Speaking of searching, have you been on the hunt for the perfect phone case? Look no further than the still-searching tough case for your Samsung phone. With its unique texture and durable physique, this case is the perfect addition to your mobile device. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Click on the link in the description box to experience the top-notch quality of the still-searching tough case. What are your thoughts on these mind-blowing facts? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical content.